Kelly and I saw Jungle Cruise last night.
How was it? I've heard it's very fun.
So fun. It's just a treat.
That's Dwayne and Emily Blunt, right?
Yeah, and a third guy.
Taika Waititi?
It's not Taika Waititi.
You know, throwback to our first episode, Ian. Does Pirates of the Caribbean have a lot of throwbacks to the ride it's based on? Because I've never been on that ride either.
So it's weird because the Pirates of the Caribbean movie is based on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Right.
But after the success of the movie, they went back to the ride and added Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow.
Animatronic Johnny Depp? Or
Yeah, they took, I don't know what they had beforehand, but they replaced it with a Johnny Depp looking.
Okay. So you haven't been on the original ride?
No, the original ride, I guess, is probably long gone. Now it's basically you go through and it's just like a pirate tale. You go through and pirates attack a town, and Jack Sparrow is there running around. There's I guess there are some things. Like the guy's holding the bone for the dog, and the dog has the keys. Like that scene makes an appearance, but other than that, there aren't big throwbacks.
Okay.
And nothing that I recall from the movie itself. But anyway, welcome everyone back to Reference Frames Podcast, the physics podcast where Will and I seek to make the fun world of physics a little more understandable through the medium of media. Right? Is that?
Yeah.
That's my best introduction. There it is.
That's well done. Well, I'm proud of you.
What we're going to do is Will will take a famous scene of some variety or something, some famous pop culture. He will present that scene using his best theater of mind experience for us. And then we will talk about a physics principle that is present in that scene and try to help you understand the way our world works, which is very exciting. But before we get into the meat of the episode, we have to go to the corrections corner.
Uh-oh.
Do we have any corrections this week?
I'm sure I did a lot wrong last week in our relativistic one, but I didn't get any corrections that I'm aware of. So, yay, I guess. I mean, I don't think we're being held accountable because, frankly, I'm sure I made a lot of errors there. I am not a relativistic physicist to any degree. So
I didn't get any severe feedback on the accuracy of the physics of the episode.
Good. I will say I rewatched the movie after recording, and still holds up. I mean, the physics is spectacular in it. I will say, there's certain parts that I was like, maybe 10 minutes of the entire movie I'd rather were just removed. I think it'd be a better film for it, but overall, great film.
I think it's enjoyable the whole way through.
Oh yeah,
it's just a fun movie.
Yeah, you get a surprise Matt Damon near the end. How nice is that?
Oh yeah, how nice is that? So nice. Everyone's here for a surprise Matt Damon.
The best kind of surprise, other than Taika Waititi.
That'd be a good surprise as well. Taika Waititi, if you're out there, you want to surprise us on this podcast?
Yeah, hop on the pod with us. Come on, man.
DM me. Do you want to get right into it? Should we just kick it?
Let's kick it. Kick it
in
gear.
All right, let's kick it.
All right. The world is at war for the first time in its history. A young British Army lieutenant stationed in Cairo has been tasked with assessing the prospects of an Arab revolt against the Ottoman Empire. First, however, young Thomas Edward Lawrence must cross the desert to meet with Prince Faisal, a leader of the revolt. Led by his Bedouin guide Tafas, they make a brief stop at a well to refill their water skins and let their camels drink their fill. While Tafas hauls the water to their camels, Lawrence casually flings himself down onto a small rise to recline and kill time. He fiddles with his army commissioned compass and whistles softly to himself, seemingly enjoying bathing in the desert sun. Until, that is, a loud splash from behind him grabs his attention. He peers back over his shoulder to see Tafas, standing over the well and staring at the horizon as if he's seen a ghost. From out of a small sandstorm on the horizon, a wavering black form seems to float mystically off the ground, flickering like a black flame above the horizon. The two stand alert, watching for over a minute as the hazy apparition slowly resolves, sinking until tethered to the ground and gaining definition as a man garbed in black atop a camel, riding towards them. Recognizing the mysterious figure, Tafas flees for the saddlebag and grabs his revolver. But before he can level his pistol, he is slain by a single well-placed rifle shot from the mysterious rider. Upon the stranger's arrival, possibly one of the greatest introductions of a character in film history concludes with simply, he is dead. And there we go. That's a scene
Ooh.
from Lawrence of Arabia.
Ooh.
Classic. A classic.
Haunting. You sent me that clip the other day. Said, hey, have you seen this clip? You might want to see this clip. And the part where he flings himself down on the rock.
He's just chilling out.
He's like, sort of bored here in the desert. I think I might have myself a bit of a lay down.
Exactly. Just chilling out. As British as can
compass.
be. I know. He blows some sand off of it.
You gotta check and see what direction we're facing here.
It's so...
That really, I was like, what is this? Why is he doing this?
He's having a great time, you know. Well, Tafas has got the water, so...
It doesn't look comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, he was riding on a camel
sand.
for hours, so maybe it's better than that. I don't know. Anyway, Ian.
Yes.
What is your prediction? What do you think we're talking about today, based on that scene?
Well, is something that's prevalent in the scene.
Nice.
A compass is something that's prevalent in the scene, but
That's true.
how are we going to talk about the thing that overshadows everything in that scene is when they're looking towards the horizon and the rider is seemingly floating. You know, sort of like the reflection off the ground, right? Like the, I don't know, mirage, I guess. Like when you're looking along a hot road and you get that. Ooh, that's my best description of what the light is doing.
Yeah, that is 100% correct, and that is also the exact sound that mirages make. So, well done.
Wow, I nailed it. I think we can wrap up the podcast.
Yeah, I think we're
13
done.
minutes.
We're done here. Nice job.
Check.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So yeah, exactly right. Today we're talking about mirages. I mean, you can maybe have a few different things we're talking about, but like refraction, which is the reason for mirages to exist, and also Fermat's theorem, which is kind of the physics behind it.
Oh.
So it's gonna be pretty fun. So first off, though, it's worth pointing out there's actually two different varieties of mirages. We'll talk about both of them. The first is the one that we're seeing in this scene. That's kind of the classic oasis vibe for a mirage, or the one on the road. That's called an inferior mirage. And then there's a superior mirage, which is a mirage that is often seen at sea. And we'll talk about what that looks like as we go. But these types of phenomena, these kind of illusory sort of flickering, wavering images and things like that, the appearance of the sky on the land, it all has to do with refraction of light. And the way we're going to talk about that is through Fermat's principle. So Pierre de Fermat was a French physicist. And his principle basically says, it's really, really neat. It's kind of really interesting, but it basically says that in its strong form, that light travels along whatever path or paths that takes the least amount of time. And there's a weak form that's like the more specific form. We're not going to get too into that because it's requires a little bit more math to kind of get into. But just the basic idea is that light tends to take the path or paths that take the least amount of time to get wherever it's going, which seems to describe some sort of a decision-making of light, which is always kind of interesting and fun to think about.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. But in general, right, when we think about light normally, like a laser or anything like that, typically we think of it traveling in a straight line path, right? It kind of goes from A to B as fast, and
Right, because it's light.
Right, because it's light, travels in straight lines. And, that is, like a straight line is the fastest way to get to somewhere, right? But that's only true if you're in a homogeneous medium. So in this case, like if you're in a plane of glass or in air or something like that, you shoot a laser, it'll always go in a straight line because that's the fastest way to get from where the laser pointer is to the wall or wherever you're pointing it at.
Let me ask you real quick to define homogeneous.
Oh, homogeneous just means wherever you look in it, you'll always see the same properties. So it's like evenly distributed, evenly everything. Everything's the same no matter where you look with it.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Continue.
Yeah, but the issue is if you have a heterogeneous medium, which is where it's not all the same, where it has differences, that can cause light to bend. And what that's referred to as refraction when light bends. And we'll talk about how it actually happens and like the explanation for why it happens. But it's all because in certain different media, light has a different speed. And that's what causes it ultimately to bend. And so that bending, according to Fermat, is because the straight line path is no longer the one that takes the least amount of time. And so how to explain that? Richard Feynman actually has a great example about kind of an example to kind of get your head around this whole bending of a path being faster than a straight line path. So here's his example. Imagine you are a lifeguard at a beach, right? You're sitting in your tower on your chair, keeping an eye on everybody, make sure everybody's safe. And off to your left, you see someone in the water, maybe 30 feet, 40 feet, 50 feet in, who's signaling for help. Maybe they're getting tired, they're having difficulty swimming, but they need some help. So you want to get there as fast as possible. You want to take the least amount of time to get to them because that has the least chance of them, drowning or experiencing any difficulties, right? However, as a human, you're much faster running than you are swimming. So you'll be much faster on the sand than you will be once you get into the water. So if you think about that, the straight line path to your left is going to spend a lot of time in the water. And in fact, if you just run a little bit further along the beach, you're going to be in a more direct path through the water that you spend less time in the water. Does that make sense, Ian? Kind of picturing this?
Oh, yeah. Especially when I think about my land speed is so much faster than my water speed.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I wouldn't swim across the long end of a pool.
Right.
To get to the root beer on the other side.
Exactly.
I'd walk around.
Yeah. So you want to basically minimize the amount of distance you have to spend in the water, or the amount of cover in the water. And so that basically means that your path will be a little further to the left than the straight line path. You want to spend more time on the sand, and then kind of you take a right turn into the water to get there as fast as possible. So that path takes the least amount of time for you, and it's definitely not a straight line path, right? So that's basically the same idea with a light. The light has different speeds in different media, right? It'll take a longer distance in the faster medium, and a shorter distance in the slower medium. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Great. So with mirages, it's all about different air temperatures. So first talk about the inferior one, the kind of oasis mirages you were talking about earlier, the one we're seeing in this scene. So in those situations, like in a desert or on a hot asphalt road, the air right next to the floor, next to the road, next to the desert, sand, is much warmer than the air maybe even a few feet up. All right? And what do we know about air when it gets hot, right? It expands, right? When it gets cooler, it decreases in volume. When it gets hot, it expands into volume, right?
Mm-hmm.
And light travels faster in air that is less dense. So if the air is expanded, there's less air particles for the light to have to deal with, so it goes faster if the air is hotter. All right?
Okay.
So what that means is that light, potentially, like with the sand and the water, it will go faster if it runs along the ground than if it's going through the colder air. Right? So what that means, if you're looking across a desert, right, the light coming from the sky to your eye will actually get to your eye faster if instead of going straight towards your eye, it actually does like a weird kind of arcing downwards path along the ground into your eye.
Right.
And so what you're seeing the light from the sky, which is, blue sky or whatever, but it's not coming from the sky. It's coming from below the horizon, right? Because that's the angle it's coming at your eye from. So you see sky below the horizon. And, it usually looks like water because, like, why else would you see a reflection of the sky?
Ground?
Exactly.
And it has that shimmer to it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, exactly. But that's where the whole oasis mirage thing comes from. Yeah.
So that also leads me to say, what looks like the rider in that scene is floating above the ground, in reality, is the appearance of sky below the rider.
Exactly. Which is really cool, right?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right, so that's the inferior mirages where the air near the floor is hot, right?
Yeah.
For the superior, you'll never guess, it's when the air near the floor is cool compared to the air above it. And so this usually happens at sea, often near the polar regions, right? Where the water is super cold and maybe the air is a warm front that's come in. So the air right next to the water has been cooled down by it, but the air above hasn't yet because they haven't managed to convect into each other yet much.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, the exact opposite happens, right? Light will travel faster if it goes above, right? If it wants to go above the cool air because it travels slower in the cool air, right?
Right.
So this causes a similar illusion, but instead of seeing things lower than they actually are, seeing the air below the horizon, you start seeing things that are actually at the surface of the water above the surface of the water. So you'll see ships floating in the air, or you'll see things even beyond the horizon, because the light is able to arc over the horizon because it wants to arc upwards, right? You'll actually see things that are beyond the horizon appearing in the sky.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. And so these superior mirages are actually often called Fata Morgana mirages, which is Italian for the name of Morgan le Fey, King Arthur's famous sorceress half-sister that you're probably familiar with.
Of course, we all are.
We're all familiar, of course. So the name comes from, in the Straits of Messina, sailors would often see these superior mirages. And back in the day, they would often say that they saw, they were trying to make sense of these things they're seeing, right? So they see these ships up in the sky, they see these stretched and distorted images of like buildings and towns and things like that, ports even from across the horizon, but far closer than they actually are. Right. And they would say that they were seeing these floating castles or even false land that's been conjured up to try and lure them to their doom, kind of thing.
Ooh.
So these are often called Fata Morgana mirages, and they're basically the opposite of an oasis mirage, which is kind of pretty cool. So,
oh man,
that's
how about
mirages.
that?
Pretty cool, right? And it's all about cool air, hot air, faster in the hot air, slower in the cool air. Pretty cool stuff. So exactly right. Let's tie it back into the scene.
Yeah.
Right. So you're exactly right. What we're seeing here, so this mysterious figure whose name is Sharif Ali in the movie, he's approaching in the heat of the day, right? So the desert sand is blistering hot, though apparently not for
and
Lawrence.
T.E. Lawrence is sort of relaxing on it.
Exactly, but it's really hot. And it's worth pointing out, this movie was filmed before CG, right? So everything was practical. There was an actual mirage on that day. They did all this work to get on a day that's hot enough. They were able to film it. They shot it all in one shot. It's really, really impressive filmmaking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's shimmering and he's floating because the sky above / behind him is kind of going underneath him, kind of arcing underneath him along the floor and coming up into T.E. Lawrence's eyes. And, as he gets closer, right, he begins to resolve and everything becomes normal looking, because at that point, that extra distance in the arc is no longer faster. It doesn't get there in less time anymore. So it kind of doesn't travel that way anymore. So Fermat says, no more deal. No deal.
No deal at all. No more extra speed, so the light comes straight to him, and now
he's just a guy.
He's just a guy.
So Ian, you don't have to say mirages necessarily, because we've already talked about a few situations, but this kind of idea of light bending, maybe. Do you have any real world examples you might have?
This one's on edge. Hear me out. Cathode ray tube televisions. Do we count this? This is sort of different, isn't it? It's sort of using E fields to bend.
Yeah, it's not light. Actually. Yeah, I would say it's different, but if you want to talk about it, you can anyway.
Another time. We'll talk about it another time.
We'll talk about that a different time. That'd be fun. Here's an example for you to maybe get you going.
Yeah, get my mind warmed up.
We use this in all the time. So we bend light for our own purposes constantly, right? So any lens, right, either in our eyes or glasses or microscopes or macroscopes, telescopes, that's the word. Right, all those things are bending light. And they're bending it because the glass makes light go slower in the glass and does in the air. And that's why it bends and is able to focus and, all that fun stuff. So if anytime you wear glasses, you're using Fermat's principle.
Did you know we have muscles in our eyes to pull and stretch and compress our lens?
Yeah.
Which changes how the light bends and focuses on the other side of your eyeball, which lets you look at things close or far away.
Yeah, how cool
Prior
is that,
to my LASIK, they paralyzed those muscles for some tests they had to do. And so it was like a full day afterwards, my eyes, I had fixed focal length eyeballs.
What?
So I could not focus. I could focus only at a certain distance away. It was very strange.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it was very weird. And I could tell that my eyes, you kind of focus second nature at this point, but you can kind of tell when your eyes are doing something to focus. And I could tell that my eyes didn't do that anymore.
All right, do you have any others? Or I have one more. It's kind of a funny one.
So we have lenses. Give me your other one. Let's hear it.
It's what I'm calling the pickle jar illusion, which is that pickles in a pickle jar tend to look a lot bigger than they actually are. So it's like false advertising. And that's because of the bent glass and light being stretched and distorted. That's the funny one I had. Just pickles look bigger than they actually are. Though it actually depends on if you fill the jar with a different material than the vinegar solution it's in, you can actually get it to change the size, because it all depends on how fast light can travel in it, right? So if you change how fast light can travel in the fluid, it'll change how much it gets bent, which is pretty cool.
I think I would prefer my pickles to look smaller.
Little happy surprise every time.
Yeah, and then when I take them out of the jar, they'd be bigger. And I'd be like, oh, thank goodness, this pickle was way bigger than I was anticipating. It kind of reminds me as well as, what was it, Hatchet? He makes a little spear for fishing.
Oh, yeah.
And he has a lot of trouble spearing fish because he starts out of the water and he's always missing the fish as he's going in. It's less, this is more of a...
No, that's exactly on point. 100%.
Hooray. And so he gets better at spearing fish when he starts with the tip of the spear in the water already.
Exactly.
So he has a better eye of where the spear's going to land.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's a great example. That's pretty much what I got for the Fermat's principle. I think it's really neat. The whole light going faster if it can. And actually, I have a link. We'll put some links in there as well. There's a link for Feynman's lecture where he talks about this, and then a few other links where it talks about, various things with this.
And of course, we'll leave the scene from...
Of course.
What is the movie Lawrence of Arabia?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll leave that in there. But other than that, I think we can move on to questions from the audience.
Oh boy, what do we got this week, Ian?
We got a good one today from our good friend Snakes Without a Plane.
Snakes Without a... What a name.
What a name. Emailed me because he is Twitter free.
Oh.
So I'll let everyone know the email in our plug zone.
Heck yeah.
He says, hey boyos, longtime listener, first time writing from Madison, Wisconsin. What is the physics behind snakes that glide? How do they glide without wings? And that's kind of a fun question.
It's a great question, Snake Without a Plane. And actually, it's not a settled question. But I do like the fact that you said glide and not fly, because they certainly can't fly. They're called flying snakes.
But they fall with style.
They fall with style, exactly right. Yeah. So actually, it's interesting. There's actually a paper that came out in 2020 that's looking at this.
Physicists have nothing better to do in 2020.
It's current research. So, well, people don't know. That's the thing. So, great question, first of all, but the experts don't know. No one knows for sure. This paper that came out in 2020, which again, we'll link a video that talks about it from the New York Times, where they're kind of talking through it's an article talking through the paper. But basically, they did this paper to try and study, because snakes were seen to be doing this weird undulating thing, these flying snakes, whenever they're falling with style. And normal snakes don't do that. And so they were like, well, maybe that has to do with why they're able to, fly across such distances. And it does. So it turns out they kind of do this, wobbling, both vertically and horizontally. Their whole body kind of wiggles back and forth. And they found, using a lot of simulations, that actually serves to stabilize their flight. So basically, they're able to fly farther because they're not rotating and falling and flailing all over the place. They're actually generally facing the right direction the entire time, and they're also flatten their bodies to create a more flat plane, sort of like a parachute, or even I wouldn't say a wing because it's not really using the same principle, but sort of trying to slow down its fall as much as possible by actually flattening itself in the air. It's pretty cool stuff. But yeah, there isn't actually a set known reason for how they're able to do that. Just, we know a few things.
What a bizarre animal.
I know. Yeah, pretty cool, though. I mean, I don't want a flying snake falling on me. That'd be terrifying.
Well, I don't want any kind of snake falling on me, to be honest with you. Doesn't matter. It could be flying. It could be not flying.
It's true. Isn't that how a constrictor snake gets you? They fall on you?
I feel like there are any number of ways constrictor snakes could get me.
Get thrown at you, catapulted, trebuchet. Why not?
Instead of dead cows, they could throw
just big snakes, big old snakes.
Catapult loads of snakes.
I think we're giving our audience nightmares.
Yeah, sorry, audience. Thank you, Snakes Without a Plane. That's all we got this week. If you want to send us a question, which we love to hear, you can do that by either tweeting at us at Podcast Frames, or, this is hot, this is new, you could also email us.
Oh boy.
And our email is referenceframespodcast@gmail.com. Very simple, just the name of our podcast @gmail.com.
Send them in.
Yeah, send us your questions, send us your comments, your corrections. We've received officially one fan art.
Really?
That I tried to make the Facebook profile or the Facebook cover picture, and Facebook was like, nope, it's just going to be your profile picture. And I was like, okay. I got to do it from my computer, not my phone, I guess.
Fair enough. That's
Working
exciting.
on that one.
Send in some more art and some questions. We like engagement. Engagement.
That's what we want. We want engagement. We want ideas. We want everything. We're crowdsourcing our whole content creation thing. If you like this podcast, there are a number of things you can do to help support us. The biggest one is passing on your favorite episodes to your friends, your family, strangers you meet on the street, anyone in your pottery class. Alternatively, you can leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts, I think also maybe Google Podcasts does reviews. If you want to, that'd be great. I've heard it's hard to make an account, so whatever.
Oh.
If it's not worth it, then don't waste your time. Go do something exciting with your life.
I got a little, so Henry Wadsworth Longfellow.
Here we go.
He is a great, we can do this as we're going out, but he's a great Maine-based poet, or was a great Maine-based poet, very famous in his day. And he actually wrote a poem entitled Fata Morgana. I just wanted to read the last 2 stanzas because they're kind of fun. So I wander and wander along, and forever before me gleams the shining city of song in the beautiful land of dreams. But when I would enter the gate of that golden atmosphere, it is gone, and I wonder and wait for the vision to reappear. Thanks for listening, folks.